I binge watched all 6 seasons of Peaky Blinders and deeply analysed how Thomas Shelby uses the 48 laws of power, and what I found will completely change how you see power forever. We will be following Thomas Shelby's relentless pursuit of dominance, cracking his empire building playbook. We'll start with Law 46, never appear too perfect. Tommy is just a working class man who fought in World War I, struggling with PTSD, and he never comes across as someone above the rest. In this video you will see how his PTSD is part of his drive and fuels his desire for power.
Sometimes it happens, but mostly we'll beat the sun. It's all about all that mud.
Even though World War I is over, Tommy is still in the trenches and he never really escaped. The war just plays on inside of Tommy's head, driving him to create more conflict in his own life. You see him chasing power and using many power tactics he learned from the war. Even when he tries to take a holiday, he just drinks and can't relax.
Whose fucking idea was it that I go on holiday?
While his brother Arthur becomes hooked on drugs, Tommy becomes addicted to power, constantly seeking it to fill the emptiness the war left inside of him.
Feel it? I feel it. Junk doesn't even come close.
Thomas Shelby needs to be in a war. Remember this horse and remember that it's black. It will be extremely important later in this video.
Sir, this is her.
The girl who tells fortunes.
They're doing a magic spell to make her win a race.
The horse's name's Monaghan Boy. Kempton, 3 o'clock, Monday.
The idea is that people will believe the horse has a spell on it that will make it win, and because of that, they'll bet on it. Betting and gambling are often the poor's way of finding a way to believe in something. And with tricks like these, you can be sure to create a cult-like following for people who have a need to believe in something. So the horse wins, which means Tommy's betting business lost money. Arthur is upset, but Tommy then reminds him what the play is.
Yeah, it won, and word will spread. So the next time we do the powder trick, it won't be just the garrison that'll bet on the horse. It'll be the whole of Small Heath.
So because the horse won, more people will believe the powder trick and more people will bet. When the horse wins for the second time, even more people will believe the trick and even more people will bet on the third time.
And you know what? The horse will win again. And the third time we do it, we'll have the whole of Birmingham betting on it.
But on the third time, the horse will lose and Tommy will pocket all the money from the bet.
And that time, when we are ready.
And this is exactly what happened. Tommy had perfect timing with these bets. There was a routine check in one of Tommy's warehouses, and his men found 25 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, 50 semi-automatic rifles and 200 pistols. At this moment, Polly questions him.
Tell me who threw them in the cut.
We put them in the stables out of the rain. The guns hadn't been greased yet.
Tommy's decision to keep the guns is a bold move. With such a massive stash, everyone will come after him, both government and non-government factions. Although he is now a target, his arsenal is a powerful bargaining chip. He perfectly enters action with boldness. Tommy doesn't want to be associated with Freddie Thorne, as he's a communist and Tommy sees communism as a lost cause. Tommy sees Freddie Thorne as both unhappy and unlucky.
Perhaps it's a list of men who give false hope to the poor. The only difference between you and me, Freddie, is that sometimes my horses stand a chance of winning.
Because Freddie Thorne is having a child with Tommy's sister, Ada, he is brought closer to Tommy, but Tommy still tries to distance himself from Freddie by offering him money to go to London. It's better to quietly distance yourself from those whose situation might drag you down. To court attention, Tommy asks everyone in his town to burn pictures of the king. This move gets the attention of the papers, but Tommy knows that the papers will go straight to the government to report on the actions against the king. However, the constable can't do anything about it. If he arrests anyone, it'll lead to trials, which will only bring more publicity to the incident of the burning pictures of the king. So the entire stunt was designed to get the constable's attention, giving him a taste of who he's really up against. Billy Kimber throws a coin in an attempt to belittle Tommy.
Pick it up, Pikey.
Watch how he tells his people to stand down as he takes the disrespect because he knows never to outshine the master.
Sit down.
Tommy makes a deal with the inspector. He'll hand over the guns in exchange for the inspector leaving his business alone, turning a blind eye to Tommy's gambling operations and using his connections to help Tommy make a move against Billy Kimber.
I want you to put in a word with the Chief Inspector of Gloucestershire that his men should leave me alone when I make my move.
Rather than trusting friends who might not be reliable, he uses the enemy to his advantage. Tommy gives Lizzie, who formerly made an income by selling her body, a job as a secretary. Now, because of her loyalty to the Shelbys and her desire not to sell her body, she accepts this job and is with Tommy till the end. Now, Tommy is doing this because he genuinely cares for her, but he is also making her dependent on him. With Billy Kimber, Tommy creates compelling spectacles in two ways. First, he dumps Billy Kimber's stolen money on the table, immediately grabbing his attention.
Your own protection is failing, Mr. Kimber. Your boys are taking cuts. I want to suggest that from now on, you contract out your racetrack security to the Peaky blinders.
But not only does he persuade him with the compelling spectacles of retrieving money that was stolen from him, he also brings the beautifully compelling spectacle of grace. The Peaky Blinders had a brutal war with the Lees, who attempted to kill Tommy by blowing up his car, and Finn barely escaped with his life.
No, not Finn!
Tommy, realizing how close he came to death, understands that cutting himself off and making enemies is more dangerous than having good people in your corner. So he decides to marry his brother John into the Lee family. Since both families are gypsies, this move makes perfect sense. The Lee family is with the Shelbys until the very end, making this a very strategic decision. Even though Tommy has just secured a highly profitable deal with Billy Kimber, he lets Grace know he is going after Kimber. He intends to completely destroy Billy Kimber and his men.
Black Star, what does that mean?
Black Star Day is the day we take out Billy Kimber and his men.
When he kills Billy Kimber, the rest of the men disperse.
Hold your guns up! Enough! Go home to your families.
Then the rest of the men leave. Once the leader is gone, the others lose their will to fight and leave. Since she is a loyal member of the Shelby family, Tommy buys his Aunt Polly a house. And since Polly found out her daughter has passed away, but her son is alive, Tommy also finds her son.
Go back inside, please.
Who are you?
Please, Henry, come on.
Your real name?
She has never been shown this kind of appreciation from anyone, and this gesture cements her loyalty to Tommy. Grace shot the inspector at the end of season 1. When the inspector visits Tommy in the hospital, Tommy mocks him about being shot by a woman.
I imagine being shot by a woman hurts the same as being shot by a man. Just a bit more shameful.
Then he rubs it in by contrasting how when Tommy got shot, it was a triumph, while the inspector's injury is an embarrassment.
When I got shot, they gave me a medal. Yeah. No medal for you, I bet.
Watch how Tommy gets under the inspector's skin, making him lose his composure. This subtle power move shows exactly who holds the upper hand. Tommy recruits men to help Alfie Solomon as part of a deal they made. The Black Country Boys, headed by Billy Kitchen, are enrolled under the Peaky Blinders to help Alfie. All the accomplishments the Black Country Boys make will be seen as Peaky Blinders accomplishments.
Boys, you've now all been enrolled as bakers in the aerated bread company of Camden Town.
Tommy goes down to take over business in London, and his biggest rival there is the Sabinis, who own a club called Club Eden. To stir things up and show the Sabinis who's really in control, Tommy lets Arthur completely take over their club, causing chaos and sending a clear message.
This place is under new management.
Tommy didn't trust that Grace would just come to see him for nothing in return, so he tested her. He tells her he was going to reminisce over old times and make love with her, but changes his mind just as she walks through the door.
And then we're gonna go upstairs and sleep together. But just now, on the way to opening the door, I changed my mind.
He's using the Uno reverse card here, perfectly timed to stir her emotions and draw her in. This game he plays not only makes her want him more, but also serves as a test, allowing him to figure out her true intentions.
I know you're happy in New York. I know your husband's rich and sweet and kind to you. I know you're unarmed. And you didn't come here for sex, because you don't love me anymore.
In the end, she passes the test. Tommy uses Lizzie as bait to lure in the general. Instead of chasing him down, he makes the general come to him.
What a pretty dress. Take it off.
Should we take this off first, shall we?
Lift up your dress and show me that you're clean.
Oh.
Once the general arrives, Tommy executes his plan and kills him. Tommy goes to visit the Riz Hotel. He's told that while he can see his guest, he'll need to pay upfront because the guest has outstanding bills. Without hesitation, Tommy pays the fee.
Time now. May I ask your name, sir?
Shelby.
He then makes it clear just how important the Shelbys are.
Thomas Shelby, and in the future I'll be down here quite a bit.
Then I shall put you on our special list.
You do that.
Tommy found out that Father Hughes was a spy feeding intelligence to the Russians. He told the aristocrats about Father Hughes' true intentions, but to block Tommy, he beats him up and threatened his family. Thomas Shelby knows Father Hughes holds all the cards and he can't afford to look unprofessional around the aristocrats and risk blowing his cover. So he apologizes to Father Hughes for accusing him.
No, thank you. It was drink that caused half this trouble. I've come here to apologize.
Father Hughes then takes over, saying that Tommy now realizes his allegations against him were false. Father Hughes goes further, humiliating Tommy by forcing him to say the act of contrition, a Catholic prayer of repentance, but this time he makes Tommy direct it not to God, but to Father Hughes himself. This is the ultimate humiliation a priest can inflict, twisting a sacred ritual into a show of dominance. Tommy endures it because he wants Father Hughes to think he is obeying him. In the meantime, he's working behind his back to take him down later. One of the biggest moments in season 3 was for Tommy to dig a hole and steal jewelry from the Russian aristocrats. Thomas Shelby was a tunneler in World War I. A tunneler was a soldier who specialized in digging tunnels beneath enemy lines to lay explosive and gain an advantage in battle. He concentrates his forces by assembling some of the men from his old unit, known as the Clay Kickers, because he knew they were skilled diggers.
Priest. I need to speak to you about the priest. I will shoot him myself, Tommy. Just teach me how to shoot.
What Michael is really asking isn't how to fire a gun, but how to kill someone.
It's easy, Michael. Point. Pull the trigger.
What Tommy says here is not that it's easy to kill someone. He shows us how effortless killing becomes once you cross that line. To him, there's no hesitation, it's a simple chore. Despite all the pushback Tommy faced in season 3, the priest beating him up and kidnapping his son, he never lost sight of the endgame. He digs the tunnel, steals the jewels, gets his son back, kills the priest who kidnapped his son, sells the jewels. Everything unfolds exactly as planned. In season 4, Tommy went from racketeering gangster to owning legitimate businesses like factories.
You own the Lanchester Car and Van Factory in the name of Tilton Company Limited, the Billings Machine Tools Factories at Haymills and Greet in the name of Stetchford Engineering, the Bilston Forgings and Presses Factory in the name of Canals.
This completely shifts his form, making him fluid and unpredictable. Tommy hires Abraham Gold to kill off the Changreta family, who have a vendetta against the Shelbys. But Abraham Gold wants something more than just gold, and Tommy can sense this. He finds out his son is amazing at boxing, so he plays to his fantasy of making his son a boxing champion. Tommy pretends not to know he's being followed and lures Luca and his henchmen into a trap. He's already planted the machine gun, and as they approach he ambushes them, killing 3 of the Changreta men. By playing the fool, Tommy gains the upper hand in the vendetta. In the vendetta between the Shelbys and the Changreta family, Tommy pretends that he's surrendering his business over to Luca Changreta to temporarily create a truce and lure him in. He hesitates just enough to make Luca impatient. He lets them know that they know there's a potential war with his family in America, and if Luca died in Birmingham, the rival family would take over his businesses, and there is someone else who they're also involved in the deal.
We also contacted a businessman in Chicago. He's also interested in moving into the liquor business in New York.
His name is Alphonse Capone.
Then he used his own hired men to ambush him. In the end, Arthur, who everyone thought is dead, carried out the final blow to Changreta. This fake surrender turned Tommy's weakness into a trap. Let's talk a bit about J.C. Eden, because things got real spicy there. Let's go back to where Tommy meets her here.
I once believed.
But the war changed you.
Yeah.
He tells her that he once believed in the cause, but the war changed him, offering just enough sincerity to lower her guard.
And I could never understand why people like us only had bread and fucking lard.
This display of selective honesty is only the start of his seduction in gaining JC's trust. Watch what he does next. He says to J.C. Eden that he wants to join the revolution, but does so for political leverage.
Dear Jesse, now, more certainly than ever, I believe things must change. Things must change. The general strike is holding. We've not an hour to lose. Meet me.
And of course, Tommy steals the deal as well as his love affair with Jesse Eden.
Your cause is now my cause. I want to help. The strike is holding. I want to meet the people who can take this further.
Tommy's true intentions are actually to get information on Jesse's communist contacts. Jesse connects him with the right contact. He delivers the Soviet agent's information to the government.
I can give you the name of any Communist Party member who was prepared to cross the line into armed revolution.
What he's actually doing is working against the communists as a spy.
If my cover is maintained, I can begin to shape the movement, organize it myself.
And undermine it.
Rise through the ranks of the wider socialist movement.
In return, he wants to run for a Labour candidate and Member of Parliament for Birmingham South, a position he wins. You can see the deep feeling of betrayal in Jesse's eyes when she sees his child with Lizzie, showing that their love affair meant nothing to him. After being a gangster, then a businessman, Thomas Shelby recreates himself again and becomes a Member of Parliament for the Birmingham South Labour Party. Tommy made a deal with a political contact he got through his new role in government. Their original deal was that he would give Tommy £50,000.
My wife and I have had a misfortune on the London Exchange. There's 20 there. You'll have to wait for the rest.
Then Tommy finds something out about him.
Cavalry, eh? Yeah. Spent a long time waiting for the cavalry, mate.
With these metaphors and stories, he's creating an air of unpredictability. He implies here that he waited for the cavalry in the trenches, but he will no longer wait for them here. This gives him the perfect opportunity to build a threat.
One time, me and my comrades waited 3 days. The cavalry finally came, an officer on the back of a fine white horse. Joked that he'd been delayed, playing a game of whist.
He builds the threat metaphorically here, and look how quickly the politician's smile drops when Tommy keeps him suspended in terror.
I took out my Webley revolver and I shot him in the head. Stole his horse, reported him for cowardice. Offered a game a chance.
The other threats were just metaphorical. Now he builds up to the real threat, showing what he has on the politician. These were explicit photographs of the politician with minors. This is where he discovers his thumbscrew. This is the real threat. No more unpredictability or metaphors.
On Monday, you will give me the full £50,000 in cash. But I will steal your white horse from under you.
He uses the white horse as a metaphor for the story he told to connect his metaphorical threat to his real threat. Arthur is made chairman of the Shelby Company Limited. Having Arthur run the company makes it much easier for Tommy to keep his hands clean. But Tommy is actually still running things, as you can see here.
No, everyone's talking about it.
Arthur, shouldn't we just wait for Thomas?
Polly, Arthur's now the chairman of the board.
Despite Arthur's wife interrupting, they are still waiting for Tommy to hear what the real plans are. But as legal formalities go, he needs to ask Arthur for permission.
As non-executive director of the company, I need permission from the chairman to present my strategy to the board.
Permission granted.
Tommy sits down with a journalist who tries to dig up dirt on him.
10 years ago, I was a journalist on the Birmingham Evening Mail.
The threat he makes here is subtle.
And of course, working in that city, it was impossible not to know your name. And your reputation.
But watch as Mr. Shelby responds.
I'm old-fashioned, Michael. I believe private lives should remain private.
And since his reputation is everything, the journalist gets killed. When he gets into office after he won the election, he speaks in the House of Commons, but he doesn't reform much, applauding people for bills like raising the school leaving age.
I applaud the attempt in the Trevelyan Education Bill to raise the school leaving age.
It's important to note that he does make big reforms later in his redemption arc. Tommy thinks completely different from the average man, but he presents himself as the working class underdog who rose to the top, an inspiration for an example of what the working class can achieve. This allows him to represent the working class, and in this scene, which is at the head of his party in parliament, shows this beautifully.
We are the people. We've had enough.
There might sometimes be more power in not saying something than there is in saying it. Mosley gives Tommy a question to bait him.
As do I. Like all things regarding Ireland, it is complex.
Then Tommy just ignores it.
Yes?
Mosley's first attempt to bait him fails, so he tries again.
Where do you stand on the Irish question, Mr. Shelby?
Never been asked this.
The Irish question is about the Irish fight for independence. Of course Tommy knows what the Irish question is, he just completely evades Mosley's question in an almost poetic way. When Tommy meets with Mosley in his office, instead of relying on brute force like the Peaky Blinders usually do, Tommy takes a more strategic approach. Tommy places every man in the room like a chess piece to create a more intimidating atmosphere. Tommy reveals that he's dealing with someone dangerous when he says,
I've met bad men before. The man we're about to meet is the devil.
When Arthur sees that Tommy takes a breath to calm himself, he realizes how serious the person they are about to meet is.
Yep. Send him in.
Ignores Arthur and Michael, sits with the argumentation and ignores the first question. Basically not allowing Tommy to dictate a meeting in his own office.
Arthur. Esquisse well.
And bingo. 20 seconds in and I have them speaking their wog lingo.
Then he tells Tommy he made an investigation against him go away, implying it as a favor, but also a subtle threat. If he doesn't comply, he will make the investigation come back.
That investigation of the dead journalist, the queer, that made that go away.
He puts out his cigarette on the floor and walks out unscathed. Because Tommy knows not to offend the wrong person, he lets the disrespect slide. In the early 1900s, shooting pheasants was a gesture of camaraderie among the elite. This is the perfect setting for Tommy to stage a friendship with Oswald Mosley and pretend to be part of his fascist cause, to spy and undermine him. Michael tries to assert dominance over Tommy by telling him that he will be better suited for his new business venture involving the opium sold in Boston, and that he has the vigor and contacts to complete it. He wants Tommy to step down, but he does this all in a very disrespectful way, and Tommy responds in a way that shows he doesn't commit to anyone.
Here is my proposal. Take a look at the future, Tommy. At least read it with an open mind.
It's cold in here, Michael.
Michael gets sent to prison because he was caught transporting opium. Michael tries to argue with Tommy, telling him that Jack Nelson will get him out. Tommy doesn't argue back, he just shows him proof that he stopped that from happening.
This is a letter. Yeah, give him this letter, will you? This is a letter from the President's personal secretary suggesting Jack Nelson keep you in here for a while longer.
Tommy threatens Gina by saying he will sell to her uncle's rivals, the Jews, and destabilize power in Boston. He controls the options on the table, forcing her and Uncle Jack into a position where she has to play the game with the cards he's dealing.
My message to your uncle is this. If he doesn't want to buy my opium, I will sell to the East Boston Jews. With that amount of opium, the balance of power between the Irish, the Jewish, and the Italians would shift heavily in favor of the East.
When Tommy builds a narcotics opium business with Jack Nelson from Boston, he goes straight for what Nelson cares about, himself. He assures him that the opium kills more Protestants and atheists than Catholics. Nelson is fiercely Catholic and only concerned with protecting other Catholics. Jack Nelson says that there are some people in this country whom he'd like to meet. He lets him know that he will introduce him to the fascists and that he will give him information on their enemy, Winston Churchill.
I can give you men of influence who support your cause. I can also offer you a full report on Churchill's strategies.
Tommy's presence is powerful, but his absence is even stronger. Even though he misses the meeting unintentionally, it sends the message that he's powerful enough to miss a meeting with very important people, including Oswald Mosley, who is higher up in British government, and Jack Nelson, who is one of the most connected people in Boston.
I don't seem to have a drink either.
I have Scotch or Irish.
Thomas drinks Irish.
Where the hell is he?
Irish.
In one of the final meetings with Mosley, Lizzie leaves the room because she finds out that Tommy cheated on her. Mosley then tells Tommy that he needs a more suitable wife.
A woman with Lizzie's past and personal history really isn't suitable. She doesn't deserve you, Mr. Shelby.
At first, it looks like he agrees with Mosley, but actually his opinion is the opposite of Mosley's, saying she deserves better.
She doesn't deserve what I will become.
What will you become?
Truth is, I belong here at this table with fuckers like you.
The thing he realizes is this: if he continues on the path he's on, he will become just like the table of fascists he hosts at this place. He realizes that he can't truly step into their shoes if he wants to become a better man. The sad reality we see in this show is that after the war, for some people, nothing changes. The war just plays on and on and on in their head. And then war becomes a constant reality that they keep manifesting. Tommy says at his daughter's funeral, the last lesson that Ruby taught us is that gold doesn't work. He says, we will make peace in Ruby's name. Now he doesn't immediately make peace, but this is the event that made him change. He wants the war to go on, but after he lost John, Polly, Grace and his daughter, he realizes that it's not worth it and it has to stop. He is disdaining from things he cannot have. From here, it's all about redemption. He forces the Chinese to stop selling opium. He takes back his long lost son. He gets Arthur's ex-wife to come back. He apologizes to Lizzie. He even blew up his own house to sever ties with the past. Now here we get to the final law. Do not go past the mark you aim for. In victory, know when to stop. Throughout the series, Tommy has notoriously struggled to know when to stop. This is the one law he never used, but the one he needed most. His failure to follow it is what led to his downfall again and again. This scene with the doctor marks a turning point for Tommy. This doctor gave Tommy a false diagnosis of a life-threatening disease to make him think he was dying. He could have taken the doctor's life, but realized that he had changed, making a war reference about the 11th hour of armistice in World War I. This symbolizes Thomas Shelby finally being done with the war. Only at this moment is World War I truly over for Tommy.
The 11th hour. Armistice. Peace at last.
His card burning symbolizes the death of the old Thomas Shelby. Thomas riding away with the white horse contrasts with the black horse the series starts with. This suggests that he has undergone a complete transformation. The Peaky Blinders is a cautionary tale about the addiction to power and the price you pay for not knowing when to stop. Thanks for watching and making it all the way through this journey of power, pain, and the price of never knowing when to stop. If you found value in these psychology insights and cinematic breakdowns, like, subscribe, and hit the bell button.